Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review and reaction for Yellowjackets Season 2, Episode 7. Just in case you didn't know in advance, this episode was titled Burial, so we went into this bright and chipper. After watching it, I actually had to go and sit around in a bathing suit in a tank in the darkness for a few hours, like watching pets come to life in human form and whatever.
So amazing. That whole sequence was just such a hoot.
It was okay. All right, we all saw what you did there.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
See,
you. Thank you.
there's a lot of takes to be had about that. There's a lot of takes to be had, I think, about.
No, there's only one take.
Okay, what?
And that whole thing with Misty and Quigula like dancing around in human form, 10 out of 10. I absolutely am here for it.
Okay. Here's the thing.
No, you can get out.
It can be both fun and also Yellowjackets playing with their food, and you can take that in a gross way if you want. But it is like we can get away with this, and 99% of shows can't. So we're just gonna do it. And if you don't like it, too bad.
That's right. And too bad because it was a 10 out of 10.
Okay,
it was so fun.
It was fun. It was weird. This episode is really fun and really weird. We are going to dive into, of course, all of that. But before we do, if you guys don't know, Jess and we recently started a Patreon, and you can check out the link in the description over there. We have a few different tiers, including having your name at the end of the video. You can take part in some polls, exclusive videos. Now, there was a little bit of a tease about the Antler Queen in this episode. A little bit of dark hair. What could it mean? What could it be? Well, we talk all about who the Antler Queen could be in an exclusive video over there. It is well worth your time. So check out that link in the description. We have a lot of other great exclusive stuff coming, including more on Yellowjackets, and we really appreciate your support.
Absolutely. Thank you to everyone who's joined our Patreon, who's jumped in on the discussion on who the Antler Queen is over there. It's been really fun talking to everybody.
Okay, this episode, it basically made me feel like I was in a tank for a lot of it, because there was a certain point I was just sort of sitting back and being like, what are they doing? Why is that person there? What's with Shauna and the goat? But I feel like at the end of the day, it really kind of showed the emotional displacement that sort of comes from bringing all these people who haven't seen each other in a long time, putting them back together, and then just reminding Shauna at the end that, oh yeah, by the way, your life away from all this, that's not going away anyway. Just ha 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 ha.
Yeah, I think the thing is these when they were young women, when they got back, all agreed that they just weren't going to talk about what happened ever to anyone. And it's really damaged everyone in a lot of different ways. We've seen it come out in all kinds of different ways, that having no one to lean on, no one that understands you or really gets what you went through because they went through it too, it's really built up in a lot of really bad ways for everybody. So even when everybody got to this retreat that Lottie puts on, is like, here's Bruce the goat, and you're going to go float around in this water tank, and you're going to paint this house with a makeup brush, like all these things, none of them really were what they needed. What they needed was that last scene, and also what I needed. I'd been waiting all season to see everybody reunite, was to have them come together and just have some smiles, have some laughs, have a couple drinks, like be together with other people who really understand the darkness that's in them, the darkness that has followed them back, the darkness that they cannot talk to anybody else about but each other. And I think that this is the healing that they needed. And I'm not saying they're healed by any means, but this is a step towards that by being together.
I think it was a meaningful moment for a lot of them, and it also brought a really important subject to my mind. How much does this Lottie's group suck? Because I'm pretty sure it is tremendous. I have no idea why these people are following Lottie anymore. She's clearly not that good at her job, where she's gonna here, carry a goat around for the full day, Lottie. Here, go sit in this tank, Misty, where you were one step away from joining Jessica Lange and singing the name game. I don't understand the point of any of it. It was fun, but if I'm joining Lottie's group, I ain't doing that. Though, by the way, I would rather carry the goat than the tank. You are not throwing me into that tank any shape or form.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, Shauna was carrying around the goat, being like, "It just ate a rope. What do I do with this? It might be hurt." And it's just like, Shauna, here's my advice to you: goats eat everything.
Yes.
Everything. They eat garbage. They'll eat your sofa. They'll eat a rope, and they will be okay. So don't worry about that.
This is actually a long-standing conversation we have had here at the channel, and my stance has always been that goats are the best animal you can ever go visit, but the worst animal that you ever actually have to keep, because they will eat your entire house.
They absolutely will.
Yes.
And you know what? I am at your service,
No.
Bruce. You can come and live with me if you want to eat my couch. That's fine. I own a rabbit. I already have an animal that eats everything. It ate a hole in the back of my bed when I went to go get dinner once because it was mad at me for leaving it alone to go get dinner. You know what? I'm okay with that. Bring on the goat.
I like to sit on the couch. I will go visit a goat. I am a great fun uncle to all goats out there. I will come, I will pet you, I will let you eat other people's garbage. It's fine.
No, I mean, out of all of them, it feels like Misty is the person who actually got something out of her experience. Like, we didn't really see where it went with anybody else. I mean, Ty just threw that makeup brush on the ground and was writing F on the building, like she was just not having it. It just wasn't going anywhere. We had Van pick forging and then forge through her truck for some vodka, right? So, I mean, like, really, Misty is the only person that had more of this sort of like inner look at what it is that she's missing. And we saw that story go back and forth between the present and the past of this wanting to be accepted by people and really seen for exactly who she is. And so by the time she got out of this, one of the things that Walter had given her, maybe, we don't really know him that well still, was the last conversation he really had with her was basically like, I know what you did and I'm okay with it and I'm still here. Like, let's talk about it. And she was like, nah, goodbye. So she's now picked up the phone and left him a message that's basically, you were right about everything and I miss you, which I was like, what? Like, okay, you're just letting it all out here. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. Oh my God, she's so great. Could you imagine getting that message though? I'd be like, oh no.
Misty is a very interesting friend to have. Just ask Crystal how some of this can occasionally go for Crystal. No, this is the thing with Misty and with Walter. I'm still sticking with the theory that I have where Walter is a relative or somebody else tied to one of the Yellowjackets sort of in the past. I don't think that he is necessarily out to just like maliciously go at Misty or anything. I don't think he views her as like his big adversary, but I think he wants an element of closure, and he's kind of an awkward guy who doesn't really know how to get it. And I think maybe him clinging on to her in some way moving forward, they think they could find some sort of harmony and healing for each other, but I just don't think Yellowjackets is that sort of show. You'll have a few minutes of partying, and then it all goes to where, everybody just all over the place.
Okay, let's stay on Misty, but let's go back into the past. Beep, bop, 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 boop. Okay, we are in the past with Misty, where some of the girls, the snow is starting to melt just a little bit. They can get out of the cabin. They're just like, oh, now that we can get out, why isn't Misty looking for Crystal? What is going on with that? Did she do something to her? Like, this is her best friend. Like, why hasn't anything happened? So, of course, Misty overhears it and is like, hey, we should have a search party for Crystal. Oh, okay. While she's out there, she kind of overhears the girls talking a little bit also about, if we find Crystal and she's not around, lunch sort of thing. And Misty's like, oh, no, that's not going to happen. So she breaks off from the group. She goes looking for Crystal. She knows where Crystal should be, but Crystal is not there. And instead she comes up to Coach, who is ready to walk off the same cliff, which was, watching her thought process through that to kind of be like, first kind of begging him not to do it and then threatening him with things that she'll do to him if he does. And then finally just breaking down and being like, please, like, I just lost Shauna's baby. I feel responsible, even though she's not responsible. But
Yeah.
she's like, I was the person who was trying to bring this baby out. And like, they didn't make it. Don't also put this on me too. And it is the thing that makes him turn around.
And I am really happy that Coach is still with us. I will say this, the Showtime, you guys spoiled this too much in the synopsis for your episode. You put like a reference into like the show on Netflix that's called I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. And they made this reference to it in this synopsis to sort of suggest that there was a chance that Coach was going to unalive himself. And I was just sort of sitting here being like, okay, you're not going to put this in the synopsis for this episode and then it's actually going to happen. We're not going to lose Coach in this episode. So stop it, Showtime. Also, why are you referencing a modern show? That's not your deal. You're supposed to be like nostalgia for the 90s. But anyway, I knew that wasn't probably going to be how this ended, but I think it was a very fascinating scene, sort of watching Misty and Coach go back and forth because they've had this odd dynamic, this history. I think it's going to be curious to see how that sort of evolves from here. Like, what good can Coach do if Coach is actually on the other side of this? And I'm going to believe that he is. I personally don't think he's going to try to do this again.
I really hope so. I mean, Paul seemingly has left his mind in the way that he's there to help him live in his mind. We saw that moment where he was like, my time here's done. I'm out. You're kind of on your own, Ben. Like, you need to sort of pick yourself up or not. Like, I'm not going to be the person that's going to be here to let you just live in your head anymore. You have to just deal with the reality of what's going on. Speaking of reality, last week in this video, I talked a little bit about Lottie's therapist and that something was off, and something's kind of been off this whole time. I mean, we first saw this therapist where Lottie was like, who are you? Like, where's my normal therapist? They're not here, sort of thing. Oh, I'm filling in. I was like, okay, that's odd, but okay, we'll go with it. And then this therapist has been doing these leading weird questions, like almost leading Lottie where she wanted to go, which is to believe that everything that happened out there was real and that she's not, this isn't any sort of mental illness. This has happened and it all happened. And so she can feel better about feeling that way. And then this, I just couldn't put my finger on it. Like, what was so weird about him? Like, is this therapist like part of some other weird organization? Or are they like trying to get information out of her? Like, what is it that is so weird? And she doesn't exist. And that Lottie just had this person made up in her head to be able to lead herself to where she wanted to be.
This is not good, Lottie.
It was well done, though. Like, they did a really good job making it feel really odd and creepy that something was off.
Yeah, they really did. And the whole, was her therapist Tyler Durden? Is that what's actually going on here?
I know. I mean, ever since Fight Club, everybody loves doing that.
No, but I think it was a really good twist. It was really, the funniest thing to me is I had sort of come up with this like weird idea in my head that there's this mysterious force or person out there in the wilderness, and maybe this still exists, where let's call them the Woodman. And I am the Woodman. I control these woods. I managed to find Javi. I managed to take care of him. And I bring this up just because I like this idea that there is like a fundamental person or an entity who has some sort of control, and it's not the man with no eyes that's tied to Taissa. And I still believe in that idea that there's someone out there that has allowed Javi to still be there. But I think clearly with this Lottie reveal, that part of this is moot. But I think the part that still matters a lot with Lottie is that there is something that's causing all of this to rise up. And I think it is some sort of, you can call it supernatural, you can call it a trauma bond, you can call it whatever you want, but there's some sort of, not even psychic, but there's a connection, a magnetism that is forming when she is around other Yellowjackets and when other Yellowjackets are around each other that like brings these demons out to the surface. It's like there's an essence that they just can't like shake no matter how much they want to.
Okay, let's talk about Shauna, because there was a lot of Shauna going on this episode. Obviously, we saw the aftermath of everything with her losing her son and sort of this idea where she's feeling like because of that loss and how it hit her, that because of that, that's how come she's been always keeping her daughter at an arm's length, that she doesn't want to feel that kind of grief and that kind of pain ever again. And if she doesn't fully allow herself to be, so loving and in love with her daughter in this beautiful way that just bonds her forever, she can't feel that kind of hurt again. And I completely understand where she's coming from with that. I think a lot of us understand that that is a path that lots of people do take after losing a child. I mean, she was so young too, right? So we saw her back in the past really trying to deal with that. I mean, this episode was called Burial. We didn't see her bury her son, but we did see her sort of put rocks around him and on and around, sort of as a little bit of a grave. And we saw her even go back to the shed and, end up crying on the floor like Trisha Paytas in her kitchen videos, but she like trying to connect with Jackie again some sort of way, because that was a way she was dealing with her pain for a while, but Jackie's not there. So it all sort of accumulated to this end scene where she hits Lottie, and then Lottie's like, listen, she needs to get it out.
Yeah.
Let's just let her get it out. Everybody back up. Let her do whatever it is she's going to do to me. And I was just like, I would pay somebody $20 on, Etsy to let me do that. There's going to be sketchy people on Etsy to let me do that.
That's a part of the internet I do not want to travel down. I'm just throwing that out there right now. And by the way, if I'm in Lottie's position, you know what I'm doing? I am throwing someone else in front of me. I will be the coward. No, don't hit me. Sure, I gave you all this sort of hope, and I am the reason probably why you're even more devastated. But no, don't do this to yourself, Lottie.
No, that was a real. It's so weird to say, but like a real sort of gift that Lottie gave Shauna. Shauna had no way to really get her grief out. She tried burying her son, it wasn't enough. She tried to go back to the shed where Jackie was. It didn't work. Like nothing was helping her. And Lottie giving herself to Shauna that way, to be like, whatever you have to do to be able to get past this grief, I'm going to be your literal punching bag for that. Have at it. Let's go. I was just like, wow, that is a gift.
It is a gift. It was
and it's worth more than $20 to a sketchy person on it.
Yeah. You maybe there are some people who would only take the 20, but no, jokes aside, this was a really, really, I think, powerful, visceral moment for Lottie, for Shauna. I hope it's a step forward. I think it is a reminder of some of the impulses of Shauna, what Shauna is capable of. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we have that in the past. And then in the present, we have the fateful phone call from Jeff at the end of all of that, where everything is coming back to the surface. Shauna, I don't know why you thought you could escape this forever. You've already tried your best with the very Randy, but no, didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, and because a lot of the Yellowjackets were all involved in this now, Misty and Ty and Nat and everybody helped her with this body. Now that Adam's body is popped back up, everybody's involved. And I mean, again, I've said this all season. I really don't want this to just turn into a show where there's like cops that are, snaking around trying to figure out what happened. Like there's 1,000,001 cop shows out there, and there's no room for any more. I'm not interested in that kind of journey with this show. This show is giving me a journey that no other show gives me, which really is about these women, these survivors, and how they've been able to survive and how they got to this point. So I am still keeping hope that we're not going to go into the last few episodes and it's all going to be about Kevin bringing down the Yellowjacket. Like nobody's rooting for you, Kevin.
Okay. Speaking of hope, I am going to continue to have hope for Van. I am going to continue to be in denial, because this is the thing. Van has survived pretty much every single thing that they have possibly thrown at her. I do not believe you, Yellowjackets. I do not believe she's going to go from this. I'm setting myself up for a catastrophic, crying in the corner, like shoving French fries down my throat moment with the end of this if she actually dies, because I just don't think it's gonna happen. I think you're tricking us into thinking that this is gonna take her out. Van is immortal. She cannot go.
Yeah, Van, it was really interesting seeing her speaking in the past where she was kind of like, man, like, this could take me out, or this, or this, or this. Like, why am I still here? What is the greater purpose for me still being here? And in the past, Ty was like, well, you've really helped me. If it wasn't for you, and the circle and everything that's going on, like my sleeping walking still would have been going on. Like, you are here, one of your many reasons, is for me. And, that's really a wonderful thing that you've done for me. And Van's like, yeah, it is, but what is the grander purpose? Because I have been knocking on death's door a couple times, like really up against it. How am I still here, and what's the purpose? And now we've met up with her as an adult, and she's like, yeah, I got a couple months. That's all I've got. Those people who are like, oh, they caught it early and whatever, and everything's gonna be fine. She's like, I'm not one of those people. I have a couple of months. That I'm wondering if the women coming back together, because I'm one of those people, tinfoil hat.
All right.
I think that there is something kind of mystical. And I think I like about the wilderness and the women together, and that there is sort of a healing with them together. I'm not saying, it's necessarily going to heal her, but maybe, there's all kinds of weird stuff that does happen on this show, that maybe it's a misdiagnosis, something else will come into play with that. I want to know and feel that there is a purpose, that Van did go through all of that in the past and go up against death's door over and over and over again, for her to not walk through it for a bigger purpose. And it's not just to own a VHS store and, drink out of her van. There is more to this than that. It can't be just, oh yeah, and then this is what's going to happen to me. My business is going under, and me too in a couple months.
I like your theory. I'm going to believe in your theory.
I know that you're not into the mystical theory as much as me, but I don't want this show to be lost. I am not interested in watching the same show again. And Lost is one of my all-time favorite shows. I absolutely love it. And I like that they played with, spirituality and sort of this mystical side of things, and then science and reality. And that's why it was always really fun that the main character is a doctor who ends up just completely buying into mystery and, spirituality, and throws kind of science to the side. But there was a reason for everything on Lost. The show is old, so, obviously I'm spoiling some of it, but there was a reason. Everything was like, oh, the smoke monster, it's Ben, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a reason for things. This show, I just don't want it to have a reason for everything. I really want it to be, there is this amazing, mystical, spiritual thing with the wilderness, that as they spill blood or they do whatever, that gifts are given to them, like we've seen with Jackie.
All I want is for Van to be okay. If it means, if this show needs to be mystical, despite my protests of it, if Van is okay, I will
She's
buy.
Gonna get through it. I feel.
I will buy into anything. Just don't kill Van, please. She's one of my favorite characters. No, okay. Here is the last weird. Now we're getting really weird. Okay, Crystal's body.
Where did it go? Woo!
The Woodman is out there.
The others.
The Woodman is taking care of her. Okay, I'm partially
taking care of her. Oh, she dead.
The Woodman. Okay, but this is. I don't know. See, this is where I'm going with this now. This is where it's going to get weird.
It is going to get weird because we watched Misty doing Staying Alive, and she's dead.
I am not sure.
Oh.
See,
where's your tinfoil hat for that?
I think I got it on from earlier, but no, she appears very dead. This is very, very true. However, whether you want to call it the Woodman, whether you want to call it some other part of nature, there's something out there that is sort of doing almost the Yellowjackets version of, I'm going to say this as though it's real. Like, when you get abducted by aliens and you come back and you're like a little bit different.
I know that. I know that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we've all been abducted by aliens, right? No, but like, we've all seen that sort of stuff in science fiction, though. And I think there's something fascinating about this idea that there is this force out there where you go out into the wilderness in some way, and then you come back from the wilderness and it has changed you, whether it is an experiment, whether it is the mysticism angle that I'm not still fully bought into. But I just think it's very, very interesting that her body is now gone, and it's just sort of like, okay, well, I don't know who's gonna take a dead body and just like bring it somewhere.
Animals. There are animals out there. Is it possible that an animal, some wolves, I mean, a wolf got a hold of Van's face. Could they not have gotten a hold of Crystal and dragged her off? I mean,
Yes. However, I am not living in reality. Clearly,
it's the hobby others. No, it's possible that they could have taken her. She's dead. I just don't think that there's a reason to keep her alive.
Probably not. She's probably a character they made up just to kill off this season. But you know what? I'm going to live in my pretend land for a little bit longer. All right, now we will wrap this video up. It's clearly a lot of fun stuff going on here. I got to get back in the tank, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. Yeah, also check out our Patreon, our exclusive Yellowjackets, Antler Queen discussion, a lot of other great stuff there, and we will see you here next time.